Welcome, everyone. I'm Kimberly Boschman, and this is the Intentionally Intuitive podcast. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the numerology and the energy for the month of January 2022 for all life path numbers. It feels a bit surreal that we're already stepping into 2022, so Happy New Year! Before we get into the reading, I do want to mention that this, of course, is a general reading. If you're interested in a personalized reading, please book some time with me. My information is in the description box below. So, 2022 is a 6 universal cycle, and it's much different energy than the fast-paced, sort of frenetic, transformative, expansive, big energy of the 5 cycle of 2021. So I highly recommend, if you haven't already, listening to your 2022 forecast for your personal life path number to gain a better understanding of this 6 universal year-long cycle that we're all stepping into, because it's going to be a powerful year. For January specifically, we are stepping into a 7 universal cycle for the month. So collectively, we will all feel this energy in some way. So for those that are new to my channel, please understand that first and foremost, I'll go over the energy for the collective, and this includes you. And then I dive more specifically into the individual life path energy for the month. So it all works in tandem. So I highly suggest just getting cozy and listening to the entire video. So the 7 energy throughout January can sort of have us focusing more on our holistic health, body, mind, and spirit. What are we feeding our own life force? This isn't only referring to, of course, nutrients for the physical body, but what are we ingesting into our mind and our spirit as well? Who and what are we surrounding ourselves with? If the energy we are inviting in, body, mind, spirit, is more toxic than healthy, chaotic rather than soothing, aggressive over calm, and overall negative over positive, then that is the fuel that the entire vehicle and our presence, body, mind, spirit, is running on. So think about how that will affect how you feel, how you treat others, how you treat yourself, and your overall outlook on life. Under this 7 energy, we may find that the universe presents us with some kind of roadblock to sort of force us to put the brakes on, to take a closer look at where it is we can make some adjustments to how we treat ourselves, all of ourselves, right? Like, again, holistically, body, mind, spirit. Perhaps we need to distance ourselves from certain relationships, to take a break from the news, social media, to spend more quality time in solitude and with the people whose cups are always full and don't expect us to deplete our own in order to fill theirs up. So perhaps there is a call to get reconnected this month to our own spiritual side and spend more time connecting with Mother Earth and allow her healing energies to rejuvenate our spirit. This month is the perfect time to do a major check-in and do any maintenance work that we have been neglecting on ourselves so that we don't get to the point of needing full-on repair. Listen to your body this month and don't subscribe to any level of guilt or shame when it comes to your self-care and taking the time for that self-care, whatever that looks like for you. The world will be there when you reemerge, right? This 7 cycle encourages us to retreat, to reflect, to heal, and to focus on our own holistic health. Under this influence, this is not a time to be impulsive, to take big risks, if you can avoid it. Now, of course, life happens, right? Sometimes we have to make those big decisions, take those big risks, regardless of what the astrology, the numerology, or the energy sort of dictates. And so, of course, follow your heart, follow your circumstances, use your logic, whatever. Do what you need to do. But if you can avoid it, this is going to be a time, again, just think of like sinking into the stillness, doing things a little bit more organically, taking your time, taking time for solitude, thinking things through. 7 energy is very, very, very connected to the metaphysical, but also a very practical energy. It's also very connected to the earth. And so there is practicality around this where there's not a whole lot of impulsivity at times. It's more reflective. It kind of takes its time. It wants to make sure that even though it's the bridge between the metaphysical and the physical, what it's bringing into the physical, that energy wants to make certain that it's something that is worth bringing into the physical. So again, just take your time under this energy. You don't have to be impulsive. Just make sure that what you're manifesting, what you're bringing in is what you want to bring in. This is an energy where little effort is going to be required for things to come to completion now. You've already done the hard work, the heavy lifting, the input, all of those things. And so now it's going to be a time for, again, sort of sinking into receptivity mode and being open to receiving the rewards, the gifts, the fruition of, the completion, the tangibles of what it is you've been working so hard towards, which is really kind of beautiful because it's like if you've really, if 2021 was a tumultuous year and you had to put a lot of effort into a lot of things and whatnot, this month is really saying, let's capture those rewards. Let's let the rewards come to us. Think of like the spider who's built its web and now it's allowing its nutrients to come to it. It's not seeking it out. That's really kind of like the 7 energy for this month. I believe in astrology, there's several planets that are retrograde. And so this is a time for, again, reflections, receptivity, allowing the nutrients to come to you holistically, body, mind, spirit. And you get to decide whether you're going to eat that nutrients or not, right? Body, mind, spirit. So again, this is going to be a time for and a period for sort of watching and waiting and let this cycle work for you. This is a lovely time for vacations, for staycations, for writing that book that you've always wanted to write, for taking a class that sort of expands the mind, especially if it's anything to do with like theology, religion, metaphysics, mystical teachings, yoga, astrology, numerology, and so on. So things that are sort of not necessarily taboo, but sort of outside the mind that would allow you to expand the mind in a way. This is a great energy for really diving into those sort of classes and taking some kind of maybe lecture or workshop or something like that where you're not expending a lot of energy per se, but you're expanding the mind and expanding the spirit, right? With that little physical effort. So listen to your own internal promptings at this time and pay extra attention to your dreams, your visions, your intuition now. Again, this is very feminine, divine feminine energy, receptivity, stillness, reflection, sinking into, again, the stillness. Where is your soul gently leading you now? This isn't about forcing. This isn't about aggression. This isn't about, again, sort of that more aggressive action of the masculine energy. This is very receptive, very still, very organic and soft energy. So again, where is your soul gently leading you now? The messages can come in as a whisper, but they can also feel like a lightning bolt when you receive it and when you hear it. So overall, with this 7 illumination, do not fight the urge for rest, rejuvenation, and inner reflection. Much can be learned and discovered during this quieter, softer cycle if we listen. You can get answers to some really big questions during this cycle, but you have to be open, you have to be receptive. So be receptive to what the universe is trying to show you now through the stillness. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the individual life path number. Life path number 9. So I pulled an animal spirit card for you all and you got peacock spirit. And which is interesting because 8's also got peacock spirit, but the message that's coming through for you all is a little bit different than what we got for 8's. For you all, I'm getting this message of let yourself stand out and be noticed. So you think about the male peacock with those beautiful feathers, that plumage that's just stops you in your tracks. It's just absolutely beautiful. And the peacock does not sort of shy away from sharing its beauty, right? And beauty is so much more than skin deep. And so I feel like there's going to be opportunities for you this month to no longer dim your sparkle, to no longer dim your shine, right? And to let that light force out. To, if there's anywhere within your life where you have been making yourself small to make another feel comfortable, or not showing up as your full self because you feel like you might be misconstrued as being too much, right? Like, or people can't, or being misunderstood, or whatever the case may be. Because of course there's going to be people who think you're too much, or that misunderstand you, but that's okay. Those aren't necessarily your people, right? And it doesn't matter. What matters is that you are utilizing your innate gifts to the fullest. And that includes, if you're somebody who is just able to, show up into a relationship with presence, like to really be able to listen and understand someone without judgment, and or somebody who's really good at singing, or knitting, or whatever. Such random things coming up to my mind right now. But, the goal here is to let that light shine, to express yourself the way that feels good for you, that feels authentic for you, and not to dim that, not to minimize it, not to play it off. Like, you might be somebody who's really, really smart, who is really, really good at learning things and then putting that knowledge to use. But maybe you're afraid of looking smart because people might judge that in some way, or they might feel less than, or they might make themselves feel less than. You see what I'm saying? Which isn't your problem. That's not a reflection of you. And so oftentimes when people are very, very intelligent in that way, until they fully step into that, as that's one of their gifts, is they'll make themselves appear to be not as intelligent, right? Or they'll minimize it in some way so that they don't become across as intimidating to their peers, or whatever the case may be. And so the point is embody the peacock this month especially, and show up authentically, show up as you. Don't apologize. Don't minimize any part of who you are to make another person feel comfortable, right? As long as it's not, physically harming another person, which it wouldn't if it's an innate gift. So my point is, I just feel like with peacock energy, you're meant to stretch your tail feathers. You're meant to show the world who you are, and like be very proud of that. Like, your soul came here with these gifts in this lifetime for a very specific reason. And it's not to hide those gifts. It's not to shy away from it. You could be somebody who, is just a really great singer, but your friends might not be, and that's okay, right? And so maybe you minimize that talent to make them feel better, type thing. You see what I'm saying? You know where I'm going here with all this. Just don't dim your light. Don't dull your sparkle, right? Like, get out there, sparkle away, and just don't worry if people think you're too much. You're too much for them, and they're just not your people at this point in time. Things could change down the road, but right now it's more important that you show up authentically as you. And I think that you're going to have opportunities this month to do that. Okay, so as I look at the month ahead for you all, this is really beautiful energy. There's a little bit of maybe some chaos, a little bit of conflict, some heaviness towards the end of the month, but nothing you can't handle. Beginning of the month, I think you're really going to be asked to step into those gifts that we've been talking about in a big way. And that can be like maybe you're just really good at communicating, and some people are just innately good at communication skills, and other people have to actually work at it. And so maybe you're somebody who's a really good communicator, and so you can use those skills to bring people together, to help clarify, to help resolve issues. And so maybe you'll be called in to do that this month. The same time, we're working with 7 energy this month collectively. And so I would say you also want to make sure that you're taking time for yourself in solitude to maybe really work on those gifts and like polish those gifts, so that when you want to emerge into the world and showcase those gifts, you're ready to do so. Because really the beginning of the month for you all is really like this magician energy in tarot. It's like you have all these tools. And so now, as the magician, you need to figure out how to work with them, how to be able to best express them, to put them to use so that you can create something in the physical from the inspiration, from the ideas, right? So this is a really good month to let those ideas percolate, to take stock of those resources that you have, those tools that you have, those gifts that you have, and maybe figure out ways that you can really use them and let them shine and bring them out into the world. And that can just be through hobbies. That can be through how you show up to experiences and relationships. It doesn't necessarily have to be like paid work, but it's definitely about really taking a closer internal look at what gifts you are aware of, right? Because a lot of times we don't unlock certain gifts until we move along the journey, until we're ready. But there's some gifts that we just know we're good at, but for whatever reason, we sort of don't spend as much time with them because of obligations or, whatever. And so I think this month is going to be a really good opportunity for you really to pick something back up that you know you're really good at, that you enjoy doing, because there are things that we are good at that we don't enjoy doing. And so why put your energy towards that, right? Like, that's great that you're good at it, but if you don't enjoy doing it, it's a waste of energy, really. So really, it's more about like, what do you sort of gravitate towards that you're also really good at? You see what I'm saying? And again, that you enjoy doing. So those are going to be the things that you need to polish off this month, spend some time with, review, see how you can build upon those and use them. How can you create something within the physical utilizing those gifts? And what does that look like? And who do you want to do that with? Those are going to be all sort of areas for exploration during this 7 universal cycle that we're all in. So this is really, really beautiful energy. But this is going to be a lot of contemplation. There's not necessarily going to be a lot about taking action at this time. So it's not necessarily like you're going to go out and start creating these things. It's more about the exploration process. This is a time for you to spend some time with self, to go within and really just kind of play and, again, explore those gifts and what you enjoy doing, what brings you joy, what ignites your passion. And then don't be afraid to share that with the world. Or, like I said, like, embody peacock spirit. That, like, peacock has no shame. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it knows it's beautiful, it's got its game on, and it's ready to play. So I would say embody that energy and just know your worth, know what you bring to the table is a needed ingredient, and yeah, go with that. So mid-month, this is interesting. So mid-month, we sort of transition to sort of the area of relationships. And so there's something here, and this seems kind of specific, so I don't know if it's going to resonate with everybody, but there's something specific here around a relationship and potentially a missed opportunity around a relationship. Not to say that opportunity is completely gone and that you can't take advantage of it, but there's something here that around a relationship that you were hyper-focused on, and you may have said no to an offer that came in out of fear or something like that. Like, maybe somebody asked you out, but you were like, I don't want to get burned again, so I'm just going to be single for the rest of my life, which is fine if that's what you choose to do. That's not a judgment. But if you want to be in a relationship or are entertaining that, there's something here where some kind of offer was made or will be made around mid-month. Just be careful that you don't shoot it down immediately because of fear, right? So really pay close attention to why you're saying yes, why you're saying no type thing, especially if you're saying no, because this does feel like a sort of gift from the universe type thing, and a potential for a missed opportunity. So just if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel good, then follow that, right? Like, say no. But if it's something where it's like you want to explore it, it feels really good, but it also feels scary, and like all those emotions that kind of come up, there's no harm in exploring it and just seeing what unfolds through the process. So I would say pay attention to that. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship either. I am drawn to that. So for some of you, it is going to be that. But for others, it could be a work relationship, a partnership when it comes to work, an opportunity to maybe open a new business or to sell those gifts that you create from your gifts, right? The things that you create from your gifts. It could be friendships, it could be across the board, relationships in general. And what's interesting is we are still in Venus retrograde in January. So that could be somebody from the past coming in to you now to mend a past relationship or something like that. Or because Venus is in retrograde, that person might be coming in and you might be sort of entertaining the idea of getting back with this person. For some, that's going to be, it's going to feel like an absolute yes. And I would definitely say take it slow because Venus is in retrograde. And when Venus goes forward again, stations direct again, then you may see things differently. So I would say just whatever comes up around relationships for you in January, just take it slow. Just kind of move slowly through it. Don't necessarily say no to it, because you normally would type thing. Say no to it if it doesn't feel right. Like if something feels off, that feeling, then maybe it's not the right thing for you. But if it comes in and it's kind of piques your interest, then explore it and take your time through that exploration. And then at the end of the month, this is where we have a little bit of chaos, a little bit of conflict potentially coming in. This feels abrupt. This feels like something coming in, sort of knocking you off your feet a little bit. This could be like somebody who's looking for some kind of conflict, like wants to have, when people just want to argue type thing. And again, it's going to come back down to you sort of setting those healthy boundaries and just letting them know that you're not interested in participating in that. When they can come back and have a civil conversation with you, you would be happy to entertain that. But at this point, just don't get involved in that unless, again, it's something you choose to do. But there's just like some chaos, some potential conflict coming in where it could trigger you to become defensive. But just understand that, in doing so, you are then contributing and becoming an active participant in that chaos. And so you just need to ask yourself if that's something you want to be involved in. This could do with family, this could do with colleagues or like work relationships. This seems really petty, to be honest. It seems like a work situation where like maybe you got a bonus and somebody else didn't, or you got a promotion and somebody else didn't that wanted that job. And so they just start to create that a little bit of that chaos type thing. And it's uncomfortable and it creates an uncomfortable dynamic, but you still get to choose how you participate in that. And I would say choose wisely with that because you don't need to disrupt your harmony or disrupt, whatever it is that you said yes to because somebody else is upset about it. You see what I'm saying? Like if it's out of your control, if it has nothing to do with you, which it doesn't. So in that case, so just kind of seeing that coming in, just kind of be mindful of what you get involved in at the end of the month. If it seems like there's some tension there or tensions are running high or emotions are running high, it might be something that you want to remove yourself from that situation if possible until things quiet down. It may be that you can't avoid it and you need to be a part of it, and that's fine. Again, you always get to choose how you show up to that dialogue and that experience, and you can be the one who's calming the forces that be. So I would just say play it by ear. There could be some abrupt change that comes into play because of this chaos, whatever it is, and it could just be like you having enough of the situation. This could be like a situation where it's like maybe you have a family that's very like argumentative or, triggering, and you make this solid decision that you're not going to participate in that experience at this time, and you set those healthy boundaries. And stand by them. And that can, of course, create conflict within itself when those people aren't capable of handling those boundaries. But again, that's not up to you to fix. That's not up to you to take care of. That's up to them to deal with that and to respect those boundaries. So I definitely get some feeling here that at the end of the month, there may be some conflict to overcome, to sort of show up in calm and peace and tranquility, just for your own sense of peace, right? But again, it could also be that you're showing up authentically, as the peacock, and people get upset about that. Sometimes when we are shining and we're standing in our light, that triggers other people's wounds who are not living authentically or not showing up in their own light, and they get triggered so they can take a look within and work through their own junk. Some do, some don't, and that's up to them. But just know that there sometimes are repercussions to shining your light and showing up authentically. That doesn't mean it's your baggage. That just means, Of course, sometimes there's fallout, and we just have to deal with that in a emotionally mature way. But that shouldn't hinder us from doing it. You see what I'm saying? Like, that shouldn't cause us to compromise on who we are or dim our shine because of it. So some interesting things coming up for you all. I definitely get this sense that this is going to be somewhat of a creative month for you all, maybe potentially an opportunity to mend some relationships, to enter into some relationships, and to really, just kind of choose what you participate in, as we always say, but not to be afraid of showing up authentically and not compromising on who you are, right? For other people's comfort level. I think that's going to be really, really important for you all this month. So hopefully this was helpful. Thank you all so much for listening. Take care, nines. Bye for now.